What really happens when someone dies on a plane? Commercial flights can take a long time. In the movies, the plane will always divert if there's a death on board. In reality, it happens too often to allow this. Airline crews undergo training to deal with deaths. An elderly passenger can pass away due to natural causes. Some die from a lack of oxygen. What happens to their bodies if they are discovered mid-flight? No, they aren't put in the lavatories. Neither does the pilot request immediate landing. Instead, there's a strict procedure to be followed. It differs between airlines. Larger airplanes have a special room for bodies. It's a large locker that can accommodate an average-sized body. The Airbus A340-500 is one such aircraft. The locker is discreetly placed next to the exit. It has straps to keep the body secured in place, but the so-called corpse cupboard is still rare. In any case, it's only used if the cabin has no free seats. European airlines must comply with EU safety regulations. Their crews are trained to use defibrillators and provide first aid. In the US, things are a bit different. Airlines pick their own training. In most cases, a body will be moved to an empty row. If none is available, it will be taken to business class. This creepy job is done by regular flight attendants. Some passengers might find themselves next to a corpse. Sometimes the body will be covered up with a sheet. This is so that people don't stare or take photos. Very often, planes do have to divert afterward. That's because a dead body requires a certified physician. In fact, airliners always have medical equipment on board. It can be used to perform surgery. Defibrillators for resuscitation are mandatory, but once everything fails, it becomes complicated. Nobody is legally dead on a plane. They must be pronounced dead by someone on the ground. Flight crews have a secret code to avoid causing panic. A dead passenger is known as a Jim Wilson. If you hear it on the intercom, someone has died. The name comes from the crates used to transport the bodies. They are called Jim Wilson trays. These are shipping containers packed with ice. Other airlines simply call the dead bodies HR. That's an abbreviation for human remains, but HR only refers to dead bodies transported as cargo. Up to 50,000 bodies are transported every year. These are people who died away from home. Their bodies are normally shipped back for a funeral. So how often do people actually die on a plane? Airlines are reluctant to share statistics, but one study found 30 onboard deaths per 12,000 emergencies. A medical emergency occurs about once every 600 flights. Heart and breathing complications are the most common. A death may even go unnoticed by fellow passengers. A seated person won't start looking dead immediately. Airlines have different rules, which they don't publicize, but there's also the International Air Transport Association. IATA has official recommendations for such an emergency. The flight crew should move the deceased passenger. The body should be strapped into a seat. There should be few fellow travelers nearby. Be aware of the difficulty of the situation for companions and onlookers. Other options include placing the body in the galley.
We want to be as respectful as possible if that actually happens.
Brianna Young, flight attendant with Virgin Australia.